You think you are a rational human being. You think you make decisions based on logic, mathematics, and data. You look at a stock chart, or a cryptograph, or a business deal, and you believe that the person staring back at you in the mirror is in control. I am here to tell you that you are hallucinating. Under pressure, you are not a rational human being. You are a scared primate in a suit. There is a terrorist living inside your head. It has access to your biochemistry, your heart rate, and your wallet, and it is programmed to destroy your wealth. This terrorist is called the amygdala. It is two almond-shaped clusters of nuclei deep in your temporal lobes. It is the lizard brain. It is the ancient alarm system designed to keep you from being eaten by predators. And here is the tragedy of the modern investor. The amygdala cannot distinguish between a saber-toothed tiger and a red candle on a chart. To your lizard brain, losing money feels exactly the same as losing blood. This is why you panic sell. This is why you buy at the top. This is why you sabotage your own success. It is not because you are stupid. It is because you are biologically wired to be poor. Let's dissect the anatomy of the hijack. Imagine this scenario. You buy an asset. You have a plan. You did your research. You say, I will hold this for 5 years. Then the market crashes. The line goes down 10%, 20%, 30%. What happens to your body? Your palms start to sweat. Your heart rate spikes to 120 beats per minute. Your stomach churns. Your vision actually narrows. Tunnel vision. Why is this happening? You are sitting in a comfortable chair. You are safe. No one is attacking you. But your amygdala screams, threat, danger, death imminent. It triggers the HPA axis, hypothalamus, pituitary, adrenal. It floods your system with cortisol, the stress hormone, and adrenaline. Now here is the critical part. When cortisol floods the brain, it effectively shuts down the prefrontal cortex. The prefrontal cortex is the CEO of your brain. It handles logic, future planning, and complex analysis. The amygdala is the security guard. When the alarm rings, the security guard tackles the CEO and locks him in the closet. Your IQ literally drops by 20-30 points in moments of financial stress. You become functionally retarded. You're no longer capable of thinking about 5 years from now. You're only capable of thinking about right now. The pain of the loss is physical. It hurts. And the amygdala offers you a solution to stop the pain. Sell. If we sell, the uncertainty stops. If we sell, the pain stops. Run away. Flight. So you click the button, you sell at the bottom, and immediately you feel relief. The cortisol drops. You feel safe, but you just destroyed your financial future. You used a survival mechanism designed for the jungle to navigate the abstract world of finance, and it killed you. We must understand loss aversion. This is not just a theory, it is a biological law. Daniel Kahneman and Amos Tversky won a Nobel Prize for proving this. The pain of losing $1,000 is 2 times more powerful than the pleasure of gaining $1,000. Why? Evolution. In the Stone Age, the cost of a mistake was death. If you missed an opportunity to get extra food, gain, you just stayed hungry for a day. You survived. But if you made a mistake and lost your existing food or got injured, loss, you died. So nature wired you to care much more about protecting what you have than about getting more. This makes you risk-averse when you should be holding and panic-prone when you should be buying. When the market is crashing, opportunities are everywhere. Assets are cheap. This is when the alpha predator eats. But your brain is screaming, protect the cave. You are fighting 200,000 years of genetic programming that tells you to hoard resources during a winter. But in the market, winter is the best time to plant seeds. Your instincts are perfectly inverted for the modern game. If it feels natural, it is probably wrong. If it feels comfortable, it is probably a losing trade. If it feels terrifying, it is probably the path to wealth. Let's talk about the other side of the coin. FOMO, the herd instinct. Why do you buy at the top? Why do you wait until Bitcoin or a stock is up 500% before you get interested? Again, look at the tribe. 50,000 years ago, being alone meant death. The lone wolf is a myth. The lone wolf dies. Safety is in the herd. If you saw the entire tribe running towards a specific valley, you didn't stop to ask why. You didn't do due diligence. You ran with them. Because if they knew something you didn't, like a fire or a buffalo migration, and you stayed behind, you died. Social proof is a survival mechanism. So when you see green candles, when you see everyone on Twitter getting rich, when you see your idiot neighbor making money, your amygdala triggers a different fear, the fear of exclusion. The tribe is feasting and I'm starving. I'm being left behind. My genetic status is dropping. So you buy. You buy at the absolute peak. You buy precisely when the smart money, the predators, are selling. You are the buffalo running off the cliff because everyone else is running. The market is a mechanism mechanism for transferring wealth from the reactive amygdala to the proactive prefrontal cortex. It transfers money from the patient to the impatient. It transfers money from the herd to the hunter. You are playing a game against professionals who know your biology better than you do. The algorithms, the market makers, the institutional investors, they know about the amygdala hijack. They engineer the charts to trigger your fear. They hunt your stop losses. They create traps. They push the price down to the pain point where they know the retail investors will vomit their shares, and then they buy them from you for pennies. They are not just taking your money. They are harvesting your cortisol. They are feeding on your biological weakness. To them, you are not a trader. You are liquidity. You are a predictable biological machine that presses the sell button when it gets scared and the buy button when it gets greedy. Until you accept this, you are just gambling. You are walking into a casino run by neuroscientists with a bag of money and a brain full of fear. You have no chance. This is why intelligence is not enough. I know doctors, lawyers, and engineers who are terrible investors. They have high IQs. They can solve complex equations, but they have weak emotional control. When the market crashes, their IQ means nothing because their amygdala is driving the bus. Meanwhile, I know guys with average intelligence but ice-cold nerves. They can watch their portfolio drop 50% and pulse doesn't change. They buy when there is blood in the streets. They are the ones who get rich. Emotional stability is the highest form of financial intelligence. If you cannot control your own chemistry, you cannot control your capital. You are a slave to the red and green lights. You are a lab rat pressing a lever. So the question is, how do we kill the rat? How do we silence the lizard? How do we regain control of the ship when the storm hits? Because you cannot think your way out of an amygdala hijack. Once the chemicals are released, it is too late for logic. You need a protocol. You need a system that overrides your biology. You need an external brain that makes decisions when your internal brain is compromised. In the next part, I'm going to give you that external brain. I'm going to show you how to automate your survival so that your fear becomes irrelevant. So we have established the diagnosis. You are biologically defected for the modern economic environment. Your amygdala is a terrorist that hijacks your logic the moment money is at risk. Now, the average guru will tell you, you just need to be more disciplined. You need to control your emotions. This is garbage advice. Telling a man with a cortisol spike to be calm is like telling a man whose leg is on fire to stop screaming. It is impossible. You cannot fight biochemistry with willpower. Willpower is a finite resource in the prefrontal cortex. And remember, the amygdala has already locked the prefrontal cortex in the closet. When the red candles are printing, when the business is failing, when the algorithm kills your views, you have zero willpower. You are running on pure instinct. So if you rely on discipline, you will fail. You will panic. You will sail. The only way to defeat a biological hijack is to remove the decision from the biological entity. You need to stop making decisions in the moment. Decisions made in the heat of battle are almost always wrong. They are reactive. Decisions made in the cool quiet of the war room are strategic. You need a system. You need what the Greeks called a Ulysses pact. In the Odyssey, Ulysses knew he was sailing past the sirens. He knew their song would hypnotize him and make him steer his ship into the rocks. He didn't say, I will just be strong. No, he knew he would be weak. So he ordered his men to tie him to the mast. He ordered them to put wax in their ears. He created a physical constraint that prevented him from destroying himself when the hijack happened. You need to tie yourself to the mast. You need a protocol that executes automatically regardless of how you feel. In the financial world, this means algorithms. It means automated stop losses. It means a thesis written down before you buy. But in the broader game of wealth creation, in the game of YouTube, business and AI, it means having a map. Most of you panic, quit your businesses because you are lost. You post 10 videos, you get low views. The amygdala screams, it's not working. We are wasting energy. Abort. So you stop. You panic sell your dream. But if you had a map, if you knew exactly what the trajectory looked like, if you knew that low views are just part of the data collection phase, you wouldn't panic. You would execute. Uncertainty triggers the amygdala. Clarity calms the amygdala. You need to buy clarity. I have spent 12 years building this clarity. I have navigated the chaos of the internet economy. I have been hijacked by fear. I have made the mistakes so you don't have to. I have built a protocol. I'm offering you this protocol. The price is $260. Now think about the cost of not having it. Think about the cost of the panic sells you have made in your life. How many projects did you quit too early? How many stocks did you sell at the bottom? How many opportunities did you miss because you were paralyzed by fear? That fear cost you thousands, maybe millions of dollars. Compared to that, $260 is a rounding error. I'm offering you an external brain. When your brain is freaking out, when you're lost in the fog of war, you look at the protocol, you look at the 12 years of data, and you say, the system says we keep going. The system says this is normal. The system shows me the next step, and you keep moving. You outsource your executive function to me. I become your prefrontal cortex when yours is offline. This includes the AI workflows that remove the drudgery that causes burnout. This includes the algorithmic secrets that remove the guessing that causes anxiety. It is an exoskeleton for your mind. Without it, you are a naked ape fighting a tank. With it, you're a cyborg. You are armored. You are dangerous. The link is there. The armor is ready. Do not wait until the market crashes or your channel dies to buy insurance. You buy the fire extinguisher before the house is on fire. If you wait until you smell smoke, it is too late. The amygdala has already won. Once you have the system, you can achieve something very rare: emotional detachment. In trading, this is called the zone. In sports, it is called flow state. It is the state where you are acting without thinking. You are observing the chaos, but you are not of the chaos. You look at the chart dropping. Your pulse does not rise. You look at the negative comment. Your blood pressure does not spike. Why? Because you trust the system more than you trust your feelings. You realize that feelings are false indicators. In the markets, your feelings are almost always a counter indicator. If you feel excited, it is time to sell. If you feel sick, it is time to buy. If you feel bored, it is time to wait. The system allows you to trade against your own biology. It allows you to look at your amygdala like a screaming child in the backseat of the car. You turn around and say, "I hear you screaming, but daddy's driving, and we are following the GPS. The GPS is the knowledge. The scream is the instinct. Never let the scream drive the car." Let's talk about the concept of tuition. The market will teach you these lessons one way or another. You can pay the market tuition, or you can pay the mentor tuition. The market tuition is extremely expensive. It costs you your entire life savings. It costs you years of depression. It costs you your confidence. The market charges you $50,000 in losses to teach you one lesson about risk management. The mentor tuition is cheap. It costs you $260 to learn the same lesson without the pain. Smart people learn from their mistakes. Wise people learn from the mistakes of others. Be wise. Do not be the arrogant fool who thinks he can figure it out alone. The jungle is filled with the bones of people who tried to figure it out alone. They got eaten by the unknown unknowns, the things they didn't even know they didn't know. My protocol reveals the unknown unknowns. It shines a light into the dark corners of the room so you don't step on a mine. Consider the architecture of belief. Why do you panic? Because your belief is weak. You bought the asset because of hype, FOMO, not because of conviction. When the price drops, the hype evaporates and you are left with nothing, no foundation. So you collapse. Conviction comes from competence. When you truly understand how the YouTube algorithm works, which I teach, you don't panic when a video flops. You analyze the CTR and AVD. You tweak the thumbnail. You redeploy. You act like a scientist, not a gambler. A scientist does not cry when an experiment fails. He records the data. A gambler cries because he was relying on luck. I want to turn you into a scientist. I want to give you the tools to measure, analyze, and iterate. This destroys fear. Fear lives in the shadows. Data is the light. When you shine the light of data on the monster, you realize it was just a shadow on the wall. There is no monster. There is only math. There is only cause and effect. My system gives you the math. So are you going to keep trusting the lizard brain? Are you going to keep letting a prehistoric alarm system manage your 21st century portfolio? Are you going to stay a slave to the cortisol cycles? Or are you ready to evolve? Evolution is painful. It requires shedding your old skin. It requires admitting that your gut feeling is trash. It requires submitting to a higher logic, the logic of the system. You have the biology of a frightened animal. You have the tools to build a system. Now you need the code of conduct. A system is useless if you do not have the character to execute it. When the market crashes, and it will crash, the screen will turn red. The news will scream, "End of the world." Your friends will text you saying it's over. In that moment, your amygdala will try to break down the door of your logic. It will try to seize the controls. To prevent this, you must internalize the ice blood protocol. These are 4 laws that the apex investor lives by. They are non-negotiable. They are the firewall between your wealth and your biology. Law number 1, the 24-hour air gap. Speed is the enemy of wisdom. When your cortisol is high, your perception of time distorts. You feel an urgency that does not exist. I must sell now. I must buy now. This is the fight or flight response. It is designed for a tiger attack where seconds matter. It is not designed for a market correction where days matter. The protocol states, never make a major financial decision while in a high emotional state. If you feel panic, you are forbidden from touching the buttons. You must impose a 24-hour air gap. Walk away from the screen. Close the app. Go to the gym. Go into the sauna. Sleep. You need to metabolize the cortisol out of your blood. It takes time time for the chemistry to reset. When you come back 24 hours later, the situation will look completely different. The price might be the same, but you will be different. You will be looking at it with your prefrontal cortex, not your lizard brain. You will see the opportunity, not just the threat. Distance creates clarity. Proximity creates blindness. Step back. Law number 2, the thesis audit. Why did you buy the asset? Most people cannot answer this question. They bought because number go up. If you bought because number go up, then you must sell when number go down. You have no foundation. You are a leaf in the wind. The apex investor acts like a scientist. Before he buys, he writes down a thesis. I'm buying this because the fundamentals are strong, the user base is growing, and the technology is revolutionary. When the crash happens, he opens the thesis. He asks one question: has the math changed or has the price changed? If the math has changed, the company is bankrupt, the tech failed, then you sell. That is logic. But if the math is the same and only the price has dropped, then this is not a crisis. This is a discount. The market is a voting machine in the short term, but a weighing machine in the long term. The amygdala looks at the vote, price. The logic looks at the weight, value. If the weight is still heavy, you do not sell. You buy more. You thank the panic sellers for giving you cheap shares. You take their money because they abandon their logic. Law number 3, the zoom out, time dilation. Your amygdala lives in the now. It has no concept of next year. To defeat it, you must weaponize time. Look at a 1-minute chart. It looks like a violent storm. Up, down, chaos, noise. Now switch to a 1-month chart. The storm disappears. It is just a blip. Now switch to a 10-year chart. It is a straight line up. When you are panicked, you are zoomed in on the microscope. You are looking at the bacteria. You need to zoom out to the satellite view. You need to ask, will this drop matter in 5 years? In 99% of cases, the answer is no. If you are playing a 10-year game, a 30% drop is irrelevant noise. It is a pothole on the highway. You don't abandon the car because of a pothole. You keep driving. The zoom out forces your brain to switch from short-term survival mode to long-term planning mode. It reactivates the prefrontal cortex. It reminds you that you are building a dynasty, not looking for lunch money. Patience is not passive. Patience is aggressive. It is the ability to suffer today for a greater reward tomorrow. Law number 4, action over paralysis. Fear causes freezing. You become the deer in the headlights. You watch the account bleed and you do nothing. You are paralyzed. The cure for paralysis is aggressive action, but not the action of selling, the action of buying. When there is blood in the streets, you must force yourself to buy, even a small amount. Why? Because it breaks the psychological state of victim. When you are losing money, you feel like a victim of the market. When you buy the dip, you become the aggressor. You are saying to the market, I'm not afraid of you. I'm exploiting you. This shifts your identity. You stop feeling helpless and start feeling powerful. Baron Rothschild said, buy when there is blood in the streets, even if the blood is your own. This is the ultimate test of the apex male. Can you step into the fire when everyone else is running toward the exits? Can you stand alone? The herd is safe, but the herd is slaughtered. The lone hunter takes the risk, but he keeps the prize. Be the hunter. The philosophy of the stoic trader. Ultimately, this is about emotional sovereignty. The market is a mirror. It reflects your own internal state back at you. If you are chaotic inside, your portfolio will be chaotic. If you are disciplined inside, your portfolio will be disciplined. You cannot control the Fed. You cannot control the wars. You cannot control the inflation. You can only control your response. Stoicism is not about having no emotions. That is being a robot. Stoicism is about feeling the fear, acknowledging the fear, and then acting according to your principles anyway. It is the ability to stand on the deck of the ship in a hurricane, feel the rain on your face, see the waves crashing, and hold the wheel steady. Not because you are numb, but because you are the captain. And the captain does not panic. The captain knows the destination. The system, the $260 protocol, is your chart and compass. Your code is your anchor, and your mind is the rudder. Look at the successful men of history. Look at the billionaires, the conquerors, the builders. Do they panic? No. They have ice blood. They have trained their nervous system to interpret stress as information, not as a threat. They see a crisis and think, good, the competition will quit. I will take their market share. This is the mindset you must adopt. You are not a gambler hoping for a lucky streak. You are a predator waiting for the weak to make a mistake. And the weak always make a mistake. They always panic. They always sell at the bottom. They are feeding you. It is the circle of life. Do not feel bad for them. They chose to be unprepared. They chose to ignore the biology. They chose to stay in the zoo. You chose the jungle. And in the jungle, the calmest mind wins. The screen is flashing red. The alarm bells are ringing. The world is screaming. Take a deep breath. Zoom out. Check the protocol. And execute. Don't blink. This is the primal code. End of transmission.